Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Art of Slowing Down podcast. It's your host here, Annalena. Today, a beautiful solo episode where we're going to talk all things human design. I think we need it. And I want to talk about my journey from the beginning, really, when human design found me and what it did for me, especially in my own business. And learning that I have a defined sacral as a manifesting generator in tropical human design. And then later on, as some of you may already know, I am now also into all things true sidereal or cosmic human design. And there I'm a generator, a pure generator type. But the one thing that stays the same is that defined sacral. And it's also overall what human design teaches all of us, no matter what our type is. However, this episode is specifically for manifesting generators and generators because that's about 70% of humanity. And I think the sacral response itself is something that is not really understood many times, or you may have the information, but again, you don't really know how to actually apply it in your life. And that's what this episode is for. So when I learned about human design, first of all, I was so intrigued because I just loved seeing this amazing body graph because I like numbers, I like math, and for some reason, when I see a lot of numbers, I get excited. May not be the case for you, but this is also why I'm here teaching human design so much, because I make it easy and practical for people so you can actually apply it in your life. So I learned that I'm a manifesting generator, right? And one of the things as well, I have to say, was this permission slip to be multi-passionate, because the manifesting generator is the one type where we say, hey, you're a multi-passionate being. Now, when I say, if you're a generator, you also feel multi-passionate. There are lots of other elements in the chart that also validate you in some way, that there is some kind of multi-passionate behavior for all of us humans actually in some way, because it's not only the manifesting generator, but the manifesting generator is actually showing it to the world in a way. And the one thing that I want to really focus on in this episode here today is what that defined sacral actually means. So if you have the second center from the bottom of your body graph, that's usually in red and it's colored in. If you have that colored in, then it's a big square. Then you have a defined sacral. If you have a defined sacral, you're going to be either a generator or you are a manifesting generator. The biggest thing that helped me so much was to understand that it's not the head, it's not the mind that is here to make decisions in my business. Because when I become an entrepreneur, I always heard things like, well, you have to have a plan, especially for the next 5 years, for the next 3 years, for this year, for the quarter. And somehow that overwhelmed me. Somehow it didn't feel right in my body and I couldn't explain it. Now, obviously, I thought that there's something wrong with me and I have to be able to plan more. But I always had this idea that, okay, I think I'm a little bit different. I'm not like the masses. I'm not like what we have been doing in the world, in society. And I think we do change as humans, right? We evolve. And human design has come into our life for a reason. Somehow the way we do business seems to be changing. And I feel like I'm a really big part of that. You can call it a movement. So going back to planning, human design teaches us that the mind is not here to make big decisions. Well, the mind is still a beautiful tool we have. It's here to analyze things. It's here to be curious. It's here to ask questions, to solve math equations, to create a podcast episode like this. I mean, the mind has so many beautiful ways that can help us humans. But again, it's not here for the purpose of looking at something. Okay, does this make sense for me to do? Because this is what's going to make me the most money. This is what has been proven in history to be successful, and all these things. So that was a really big relief for myself, because it validated what I had been feeling in my body all this time. And the more I have been on my human design journey, I have learned that it's my body that is actually showing me the way. And that's now where the sacral response comes in. So as a generator, manifesting generator with a defined sacral, we are here to respond to life. So it's this, we call this way to respond. So if you pull a human design chart, you will always see that your strategy is responding or respond or way to respond. It depends what software you use. And what does that mean? Because we can really misunderstand this. It does not mean that you have to sit on a couch and wait for other people to come and give you permission to do something. That's absolutely not what this means. What this means more is that when you have all these ideas, and most likely you have a lot, especially if you're a manifesting generator, I think it can be a little bit amplified, but also as a generator, you can have a lot of ideas. You get really excited. Sometimes you hear people talk about something, or we also get easily influenced by people, right? Where there's this big hype, you should do this. We get all amped up, and then we feel like we have to do this thing because that's the next trend. That's what I have to do to be successful. That's now where the waiting comes in. If you have an idea, I always recommend to just write it down, have a little ideas list, and then lean back, give it to the universe. In a way, you say, okay, universe, if any of these things that came to me, all these ideas that are buzzing in my head, if I'm supposed to manifest any of these ideas, can you show me, give me a sign? And then what's very important is that you actually energetically let go. And I think this is where most people have a big challenge, because in a way we don't trust. In a way we still feel like we have to make it happen. We have to work hard. We have to almost force things. But when you can get into this space of actually allowing yourself to let it go energetically and really be in a space of trusting. And the way that works usually best is when you immerse yourself in something that you really love, where you can let go of all the mind chatter. So this could be like going for a walk, meeting with your friend, having fun, go swimming, have a coffee with your best friend, something where you can really take your mind off. Go play and have fun. And then what tends to happen is that the universe gives you these, we call it these breadcrumbs, where it shows you like what the next step is. And this could be that one of the things that you were thinking about, all of a sudden, when you least expect it, you could be in a grocery store and all of a sudden you see a magazine that shows something that has to do with the thing that you were thinking about. And then you feel this, ooh, yeah, feeling like a light pull forward in your body. That can be that sacral response. Now, I want to say the sacral response needs time and practice to develop, and it tends to feel a little bit different for all of us, because we're not all the same. So for some people, it's this like very light, expansive feeling in the body. That's how it tends to be for me. But other people that really feel a strong sensation in their gut and their sacral area. There are other people that are more visually attuned. They see like visuals, like a flower opening or a bright color. When it's a no, it's more like dark and it feels contracting, or like a flower wilting. So what I find as a common theme is that when it's like calm, grounded, and expansive, it tends to be a yes. And if it feels heavy and contracting, then it tends to be a no. So then, as you notice the sensation in your body, you start to follow that. Okay, here, ooh, this really feels good in my body. And often what happens, especially, is that the mind kicks in right after. So let's imagine you responded to going on a trip. Maybe that's an idea you had. Or to put on, let's say you put on a retreat, you're a business owner. You wanted to put on a retreat. That was your idea, but you waited. And then you saw something on a magazine. And that was kind of your first response. And then you start to question yourself, okay, who am I to do this? I don't have the skills. Nobody's going to sign up. All the stories that the mind comes up with, right? But then maybe the next day, a friend of yours is actually asking you, like, hey, would you actually put on a retreat? Because I love what you do. It would be so cool to connect in person. And then again, you have this like, ooh, sacral response in your body. And that's how the way to respond works in a way. It's like something outside of yourself shows up and then your body responds to it. And sometimes you didn't even think about this before. It just shows up out of the blue, where you see something on social media or in a book or even somewhere in nature. Maybe you hear a song that is singing about a certain topic that provokes this response in your body or this sacral response. And that's your most reliable decision-making process. It's in the body. And the thing is, when we are in a state of overthinking and constantly being in the head, so if you don't take any time to slow down, to connect with nature, to really be mindful, but we are fully immersed in the present moment, it's very, very, very hard to even notice what your sacral response feels like. So it's a muscle we got to build, right? It does take time. It's not something that, okay, I'm going to read this once. Oh, this is a way to respond. I understand it logically. That's not really what's going to help you actually show in real life how magical it actually can be. Because for me, it was obviously a game changer because it helped me stop following what everybody else was saying. Let's be real, there's so many opinions in the internet, here even on podcasts, on Instagram, everywhere. You open up one of these platforms, you spend there 10, 20 minutes, and you probably have 10 different ways of how you should be doing something. Because that's the next success strategy. Or also oftentimes what I have found happened that I finally did the thing that felt really right to myself, that I responded to. And then I saw somebody talk about how exactly not to do the thing because that's the wrong way. And then obviously I started to question myself. So the opinions that are out there, we are so susceptible to that. And I was extremely susceptible to that. It was always what everybody else was saying. And it also helped me then over time to only work with mentors and coaches that helped me connect to my own truth. Because I knew my sacral response, what feels right in my gut, that is my only truth. And yes, it's absolutely fantastic to get new ideas because we get things to respond to from other people, obviously, right? We get inspired. So it's also very healthy to immerse yourself around others and read certain things and listen to different things. But when we become codependent to that, or in a way we become a victim of that, where we're always like, oh, we put this first over our own inner knowing, then it's obviously not serving us in any way or form. So that's really what the sacral response helped me with so much, that yes, I get to trust myself. Yes, I get to listen to what my body is actually guiding me towards. And what was especially difficult in the beginning was to actually trust that, because I had been trained or conditioned, however you like to say it, that I have to logically make decisions, the things that make sense. And one day I had this epiphany that when I make decisions from the mind, what I think I need or what I think is going to bring me success or money in my business, that is always going to be based on what I already know. It's things we have already done in the world. And somewhere I learned from quantum physics that what we know as humans, right, the things that are proven that we have done, hey, this works, that is only like 1 millionth or something like that of a percent. So it's like next to nothing. And then I was thinking, okay, now I was using my mind, that if I'm going to operate from what's logical, what has been done before, what makes sense, what is everybody else is doing, one, that's really boring, because when I follow a trend, then everybody's going to do it. And then, you're just going to disappear amongst the masses. But I want to stand out. I want to be different. So I want to be myself. I want to express the authenticity that I am. And then I realized that my sacral, which in a way, if you think about it, being all in the spiritual realm, that is your connection to your highest self. That is your connection to God, source, universe, guiding you what that next step of yours really is. And when I trust that as my decision-making process, then I can actually tap into the quantum field of unlimited possibilities, which is the other, so that's the field of the unknown, which is the other 99.99999%. And that made me like, oh my God, really? We have been living in this super limited way of thinking and operating, where we always need proof that something works. That is always going to be based on what we already know. But obviously science is also important, and it has gotten us breakthroughs, so we don't want to disregard this either. But for me to build a business that I truly enjoy, where I can really make impact in the world, I think I have to have the courage and the boldness to be open to new ways of creating things in the world. And human design is also called the science of differentiation, which means we are all different. We are all unique. If we are all going to replicate the very same way of how we're going to build a business, oh my God, again, how boring is that? Right? And I don't know about you, but I like versatility. I like things to be different. I like, even in my own life, I like a lot of variety. I really thrive on that. And imagine you walk out on the street and everybody looks the same. They're dressed the same. They have the same haircut, because that's kind of what we fall into. And when you follow your sacral, when you follow that feeling in the body, you're going to stand out. You're going to be the colorful person that just looks different than everybody. And we all get to be that, actually, when we give ourselves full permission to be different in our essence. So again, it was absolutely a game changer. And now in the true sidereal human design, I'm still a generator. I'm now a pure generator. Before I was a 2-4 manifesting generator in the tropical. And if this is new to you, what I'm talking about right now, I did some other episodes about my journey from tropical to true sidereal, astrology and how that impacts human design, and also the gene keys. And I just want to briefly say here, there is no right or wrong. It's really what resonates with you. And I resonated a lot with my tropical chart for many, many years. I actually still do a lot. So over 4 years, and it has been just more recently that my sacral, actually, my body has been pulling me more towards the true sidereal version of my human design. And if you're interested in that, you can go to a website called cosmichumandesign.com. And when you enter all your information in there, then you will see your true sidereal chart there. And if it doesn't resonate with you, I would just leave it. There's, I think, a time and place for everything. But either way, here I'm also a generator type, a pure generator. And again, it's this sacral response where I'm here to respond to the world. And I love this because even when I start my day, I wake up, and instead of having a very rigid plan, Now, here, when I say, yes, I do plan my week, I do put in my calendar, actually, my calendar here. And I was sitting down last night to write down all the things that really have to get done this week. I have certain obligations. I have a daughter. I have a masterclass come up. I have other things with my clients where I have responsibilities, where I have to take action on if I like it or not. So it's also important to understand that living from your sacral response does not mean we don't ever do the things that we don't feel like doing in the moment, because with a sacral response is also this, what lights you up, right? What turns you on in some way. And that has to be combined with the regular responsibilities, obviously, of life. And the big difference between, following your sacral response versus ignoring it is situations. So I was talking about the retreat, right? You were thinking about putting on a retreat and you got all these things to respond to. But it's gonna get you out of your comfort zone. It's gonna be scary. It's gonna be the first time that you would be doing it. And you could tell yourself, okay, I cannot run the risk. I don't know if I'm gonna make any kind of money with it. And then you go with what you think you should be doing. Maybe keep doing the thing that you have been doing before, even though it doesn't really light you up anymore. You just feel like you have to do it. It's more a little bit like a burden and stuff like that. But due to our need for safety or the fear of the unknown, we oftentimes do not trust our body and our sacral response. So ask yourself a little bit, right? Where have been things where you really knew there's something for you? It kept showing up, all the synchronicities. Life gave you not just one thing to affirm you're on the right path and give you something to respond to, but then you just didn't trust it because it was so new. It was so out of your comfort zone. Because there is something definitely with the comfort zone. Following what lights you up and where you have the sacral response is not always the easy thing, because it does take you into the new. It does take you to create something bigger that we haven't seen in this world before. So it actually will provoke a lot of fears and uncomfortable feelings. And that's something most of us don't really like. Now, one question that may have come up for you already, because I have this often when I talk to generators and manifesting generators, when I talk about the sacral authority or the sacral response, the way to respond is, okay, but I have emotional authority. Does the responding or the sacral response still apply to me? And I always say yes, absolutely. Because if you have emotional authority, everything that I just said applies exactly for you. You have the sacral response. It's about, leaning back, enjoying life without having these expectations, and then see what shows up, and then you respond to that with your body. Now, the emotional authority, if you have that in your chart, so in this chart that I'm talking about right now, or my chart, I have an undefined emotional solar plexus. It's white. But anyone that has a defined solar plexus in their chart, even the other types, that's the very center on the right. It's usually brown. It's like a triangle. And if that is colored in, we call it defined. And this means that you will have emotional authority. So about half of actually all manifesting generators and generators have emotional authority. What does that mean? While you have the sacral response that I was just elaborating on, you have something what we call an emotional wave. And this emotional wave tends to behave in a very consistent way. So where you have highs and you have lows, and I'm not going to go into the specific waves right now. But what's really important for you to understand is that it's normal. It's normal that you have times where you feel like super happy and very positive emotions. And then there are other times where you feel sad, you feel kind of blah, you feel off, maybe a lot of melancholy showing up for you. And the big thing here is like, there's nothing wrong with you. That is totally normal. What will make it difficult if you resist, especially those uncomfortable emotions. But I have also actually found that very often we also resist the higher, the happy emotions, because there's a part of us like, oh, let me not get too happy because then I'm not going to be happy anymore, right? So we're actually not allowing it to be really happy. And so we tend to actually suppress the happy and also especially the lower emotions, which we label in some way as negative, so that you just know what I'm talking about. What is really important is that when you feel either emotionally very high, like, oh my God, this is amazing, right? A little bit high, amped up kind of energy, or really low and melancholic, that you do not make really big decisions in life in that state. So for example, let's say this retreat thing came up for you and you were responding to it and it felt right, but it's a big investment, for example, on your part, or it's a lot of investment of your time and energy. So it's anytime you invest a lot of money, resources, or your energy into something, you want to give yourself the permission to wait a little bit longer, to ride out the emotional wave. Don't let anybody rush you. And I know, especially in the coaching space, many times we have these offers where you have to jump on it because within the next 24 hours, you're going to get this huge discount. So you better join now. But if that doesn't give you the space to really feel into your body and the emotional wave and let it ride out its course so that you can really feel in your body if it's still a clear yes, then I always recommend don't do it. Don't ever let yourself force into anything. And you may want to also track your emotional wave where you kind of see how long it takes, because there may be a very consistent pattern with that. And if throughout the wave, right, where it's going high and low, you may also have sometimes this need to be alone, and then with people, that also plays really into this emotional wave a lot. And if throughout this wave, you keep feeling a yes in your body, and then when you're back in a neutral state and it's still that yes, then it's a yes for you. And that can take a good week, just to give you an idea. But if throughout the emotional wave that you go through, your sacral response keeps changing, it's a yes and then it's a no, and it's kind of, I don't know, it's a not clear yes then, basically. And it could be that it's just not the right time, or it's not for you. That's why we don't ever want to rush into things. And what I also have learned from myself being a sacral authority, so I do not have the emotional wave, what I have learned over time, which was so priceless, and this is actually something that I find is not well taught in the traditional human design, because I thought, okay, I can just make these really, really quick decisions because I don't have the emotional wave. But obviously we all feel emotions. That's a little bit of a misconception that only emotional authorities have emotions, because I actually can amplify, I can feel the emotions of others. So when I feel this super excited energy, very, very, or most likely, I took on this excitement from somebody else, but it's not mine. And I have to get into my own energy. And this can also take me some days to actually feel into my body what is that clear yes for me. So this is why for all of you generators, manifesting generators, no matter if you have emotional authority or not, when you invest a lot of time, money, and energy into something, give yourself the permission to get out of tense emotional states, because we tend to be reactive when emotions are high or low. So when emotions are high, we feel like we're on top of the world and, oh my God, this is amazing. And then, we put the $10,000 check down, and then we wake up the next morning and like, oh my God, seriously? And then already another opportunity shows up for you that feels so much more aligned, and you like just committed yourself to something that yesterday was the most exciting thing, but today it no longer is. And I will probably share this over and over again, because it's, in a way, I feel like it's a little bit my responsibility to keep educating about this, because I made a lot of these kind of misaligned investments in the beginning of my coaching journey. And, I could be complaining about it and be a victim of it, but there's also a reason why I went through this, because I learned so much from it. And this is why I want to share this with all of you. Now, the more you tap into the sacral response, which I was just saying it or earlier, that it does take time, it does take practice. It's like going to the gym. It's not like you run a 5K once and you do really well and then you never have to train again. Well, you have to keep staying at it. And what happens is you get better and better at it. And many times, the best way we learn how the sacral response works is actually when we don't trust and when we don't listen to it. And then we see how things go along, and it gets to be unnecessary hard. It gets to be unnecessary complicated. And then you have these other experiences, obviously, where you do trust yourself and you see the difference, right? You have kind of a benchmark. Okay. And then you start to learn, you start to train your nervous system that it's actually safe to trust myself. And if you have been a person that has been people pleasing for the most of your life, like me, like I used to be that a lot, where I was always putting other people first before my own needs, then it's really hard to experience how magical building a business can actually be, because it's truly magical when you trust yourself, when you follow what your body is guiding you towards. And like I said, it's going to take you absolutely out of your comfort zone. And I have also found that it gets to be so much easier when we surround ourselves with people that are on the same mission, right? And this is here, like, okay, my mission is to follow my sacral. My mission is to trust myself. My mission is to have my intuition, the strategy behind my business. And I sometimes joke about this, but this is really my secret strategy in my business, that I trust my body, I trust my response. And listen, there's still times even for myself where I get up back into my head again and I start to question myself, and then I have the awareness about it. It's another learning lesson. And this then always brings me back to looking at my human design chart, reminding me of the magic that is there. And I do have a little invitation for all of you. Some of you may already be signed up and everything. There's an amazing masterclass come up this Friday called the Sacral Switch. This is a beautiful event, especially for generators and manifesting generators that are ready to turn on their natural magnetism for effortless success, and also your natural energy. Because so often when you as a generator, manifesting generator, get into the people pleasing, you actually deprive the natural sacral energy that is there. And when you have the courage to use your sacral energy in a way that is actually aligned and the way that is supposed to, as per your unique path, then you actually start to generate even more energy. And that's something that I want to support you guys with. So I'm going to give you a little bit of details, what you can expect in this masterclass. First of all, it's going to be a sacral party. It's going to be so much fun. I think we already have over 60 people signed up for it. And what's really cool, you also going to receive a brand new effortless sacral magnetism infinity healing. It's already ready there. If you sign up now, you're going to get access to this. You can already tune into this before. That itself is super priceless, because I will also help you with the energetics. Infinity healing is a super powerful energy healing modality that I have been using myself now for over 3 years, I think. And for me, as a highly sensitive, empathic person, it has been one of the most gentle and most effective energy healing modalities for myself. My clients love it as well. It's super relaxing. I can tell you the magic happens when you start to relax. Life will give you things to respond to when you can relax. When you're tense and tight in your body, you're almost repelling anything that the universe is putting right in front of you. And yeah, so that is there. And then also we will dive deeper into what it means to have a defined sacral, how it impacts your natural energy and magnetism. And I'm going to also talk a little bit about some typical myth that we have in human design about the generator types that I often find a little bit disempowering. And often people feel like, I wish I would be a different type. But I want to make you so empowered that you're going to walk away feeling amazing about yourself. So you really understand the magic that you have within yourself. And I'm also really good at giving you some more aha moments because sometimes we need to hear something over and over and over again. And truth to be told, what I talked about in this episode today, I probably have talked about this in numerous other episodes before and some of my trainings. But sometimes we have to hear it in a certain way so it finally clicks. And I have this happen a lot in my master classes that people, they have these aha moments. They have these like, oh my God, now I get it. I have this myself sometimes when I hear something on a podcast or I read a book. I need to hear it from a specific person at a specific time, and then I finally get it. So I'm going to be here to give you some of those, oh my God, I finally get it moments. And then I will also look a little bit more at some of the specifics in the human design chart that will also help you further tap into your sacral response, because there are other elements in the chart that will also support you so that you can actually get out of your head and into your body, right? We're going to talk also a little bit more about the sacral and emotional authority, what the differences are. And then, like I said, the amazing infinity healing. And you're going to be surrounded by all these other amazing generators and manifesting generators. And like I said, it doesn't matter if you're a generator or manifesting generator in tropical human design or in true sidereal human design or just one of them. What matters is what resonates with you. If you resonate with having a defined sacral with the characteristics of a generator or manifesting generator, then this is for you. So you are invited to join me and an amazing group of generators and manifesting generators for the Sacral Switch Masterclass. You can check out the link in the show notes for further details and how to register. I will be very delighted to see some of you there. And I want to also thank you for tuning in to the Art of Slowing Down podcast. And I'm always looking forward to be with you all on the next episode.